In this video, we're going to talk about a movie that's available for free at vudu.com. It's called The Shadow People. So we're going to talk about this in the context. Think the author, Eve Lorgen, The Love Bite. You can also find a free PDF, Dark Cupid, or something to that effect. How timely with Valentine's Day coming up in just a couple of days. I think that I've really been behind, if you will, on talking about elements of romance. A couple things before we begin. I look at things from a pretty unique perspective. That's why people attack me, because I look at the spiritual, supernatural influence over the human species. And that causes some people to wig out. That causes people to slander me. That causes some people to keep a distance. That perhaps friends, family, people I knew in the past, perhaps I would want to know certain people. So I know there's a lot of people out there that I like, respect, have looked up to, that are going to look at Alex Answer a certain way because he gets into the archons. And the greater reality is, for thousands of years, right, mankind, womankind, has pondered the nature of our reality. Are we alone in the universe? But here we are in 2019. It is still considered an example of insanity. And that is unfortunate. Am I going to let that stop me from what I'm doing? No. In fact, I see confirmation. We'll start with that. So I have the dream where I was seeing that person engage in that mindset. So becoming aware of what's going on in a that's not even, some could say that's like bad. And it's not bad to have an intuition, just what we focus on. And, it's one thing if people are a little bit critical of others, but that's the constructive criticism for those people that have gone on the path of wanting to redirect someone's attention or get someone's attention for the wrong reason. We are sensitive individuals, and with this technology that we have, just imagine all the amazing things that we could do with it if there was like a higher consciousness powering the hands that are typing. We're not at that state. We're going downward and trying to help men and women rise above racism, rise above gender warfare, rise above this mentality that it's only you in this world and only darkness follows you. There's a reason why a lot of people that are no longer on the planet watched my show at least a decade ago. And I see myself as an advisor of men and women that are going to leave this planet. I don't necessarily claim to have all the answers, but there's something about me that others hate and despise, what they call crazy. That's a unique part of my message that I think the world needs to hear. So when you see a movie like the Shadow People, for example, which you can watch for free on Vudu, what I see with that is Eve Lorgen's work as well as my own work manifesting in a fictional setting. But what's actually taking place seems to be tailored off of the real paranormal influences in romantic relationships. I don't have a lot of knowledge about lesbian or homosexual male relationships, only heterosexual relationships between men and women. So there's a number of different perspectives regarding how people can be attacked spiritually, how their relationships can be sabotaged, including the person's partner being infected. So we're going from the dreams, right? I remember some brief encounters in the past in Portland where some women that I was dating were having false dreams that I was seeing other people. And there seemed to be a pattern of the dream implants and other ways in which humans can be implanted with false thoughts, also known as vibes. Lower level intelligent humans that actually think that they're intuitive, they just read their vibes going, oh, I feel this vibe. Oh, I feel this vibe. And they think that's intuition. Vibes can and are induced. Directed energy vibes, if you will. Directed energy vibes. And so these things are real. And there could be spiritual interference from entities that are angry at certain humans because they've turned away from tradition. Maybe many generations of being a part of a certain religion and other things. I've actually encountered a number of supernatural things come against me for the things that I'm speaking about on the internet. And while, they don't come at me in a wave, they come at me through the slander. They operate through the people that get the voices in the head or feel the anger at people that are trying to help them wake up. And it will be for no reason. And this is the concern of my warning for those men and women that are still listening to me. As we go into the 2020s, these people are going to get worse. Get out of Dodge if you're able to. If you consider yourself a target, and maybe you're not an independent journalist, so maybe you won't be targeted at all. But even those that have chosen to stay out of the limelight, right, when you're dealing with archonic interference or the supernatural, if you're in a bad area in a major city and there's negative energies around you, you gotta understand the real a lot of you need to like deprogram from old school, crusty 80s, 90s thinking of conspiracy theory or InfoWars, or I don't know what page you're reading that defines to you what the elite is. But lots of people talk out of their ass when they're acting like they're woke to some sort of a system. And I'll be like, that person has never actually mentioned that there's millions of people dying overseas in, a couple of countries that shall not be named. They never talked about Syria. And so when I come across people, whether or not I'm going to have associations with them, they're either talking about what's going on or they're just creating circles and noise. And it's really better that we not consume content that is diluted with circular logic and manic energies. Oh, yeah, everything's getting better. Oh, everything's getting worse. And I have been dealing with like a nonstop sea of people doing that ever since I got involved in independent activism, going back to the mid 2000s. Things are going to shift. We're coming up on this. And people just need to look larger, go beyond these years that you're seeing in this finite Gregorian calendar and attempt to see where we are in the matrix and where we're really going with this. It isn't all we're all winning or we're all losing. We go through these cycles. You may have heard me reference solar cycles. And I just don't understand why people don't get into the sun and other things of a deeper. So I'm actually powered up by some sort of, I don't know what it is. I know that we're coming out of the new moon, but I feel fired up, so fired up that by speaking the truth, I potentially could alienate every single one of you. But there's another part of me that's saying, but speak the truth anyways. You're not here to appease the ego of your audience. And I have to keep reminding myself because straight up, folks, you need to get real with this. Why are you listening and watching this channel? Why don't some of you step up and support? Why have a micro dislike mob to where even for a minute there, you can have 50% of the audience hating my content for an hour and only 50% of you able to muster 3 thumbs up? I mean, what's going on? Knock, knock, McFly. Knock, knock, McFly. What's up? Or Sarah, Lisa, where are you? Where are you at? The women have never been more timid with regards to Alex Ansary. We will call it what it is. If it walks like a duck, female fear of Alex Ansary. Then what we have with the hateful forces that are on the internet, they hear a man like me say, well, this is the situation. Here's how we evolve beyond the archonic interference. Oh, he's crazy. He said archonic. Whereas if I never said that word and I just talked about spirituality and meditation, there was something about that 6-lettered word that originates with the Gnostics, the early Christians that were also persecuted, murdered by the Roman Catholic Church. But these people that are of European heritage, many of them that are in the troll sphere and others, you have so much knowledge available to you about your own ancestry and history of Europe. The Gnostics, that's not Middle Eastern. That's not necessarily that's not African. So when I'm citing a term that really has its origins in your own ancestry, and when we're looking at old Europe, why be so quick to call that crazy when it's Alex Ansary that talks about it? It's not right. It's not fair. Now, I can point you in the direction of a beautiful, Irish, Scottish, Laura Eisenhower, pure bloodline, descendant of a former president. And you can look at her talk about the archons with her flock, where you can look at John Lash and his white genocide archon weird hybrid mix, kind of like adding spoiled ice cream on top of a Totino's dish pizza that's been burned and calling that good, feeding that to your kids. And you can look at the level of likes on those videos and then come back to a more rational Alex answer that's saying, get out of the race war theology, because that's the arena of the aliens that are dividing us. We look again at these books about mythology and we ask ourselves the big, big questions. Were different entities involved in terraforming the earth and creating the first humans? And did it happen in my own backyard? And that's not just something that I can label perceivably Egyptian. the symbols on the rock that I zoomed up on. The dragon design also looks very much Incan, or that which we saw from the Aztecs. And so, in the book on mythology, let's go ahead and let's do the tarot card. Let's do the tarot card technique. And it's been a while since I actually had my own tarot deck. I'm not really into that stuff. Um, and that's okay if you are and others are. I've met countless people into typical tarot deck, astrology, Reiki, people that do clearings on others, people that are at a level of awareness that they're able to perceive. And I think some people are full of it. um, I don't worship anyone. I think certain people have their flaws. I try to keep my criticism of people that I respect at bay. So I've talked very highly of a guy named Leon that also delivered, the warning to the U.S. I'm not without my criticism to the Leon, and I can keep that private. So what I do is I learn from things like Leon, things that he saw when he did a clearing on me. And Leon picked up on a lot of alien mothership attack on myself, going all the way back to the Portland days. And it had a direct relation to the activism, the things that I was talking about. And then the years passed, and I wondered if that interview with Leon, where we're basically warning about China and Russia, because this is really about an alien agenda creating so much pain on the planet. But then I also think, well, then it's good that we're doing this. It's not that we are necessarily archangels or this, that, and the other. We're in human form, but we're here to deliver the warning. And we're pointing a direction, a geographic part of the United States, not necessarily putting a year on it. And here we are 12 years after that interview, and then we're actually seeing real world events manifest in the news. And I'm also going through my own quickening. I'm learning. I'm learning that if you talk about the supernatural, you're going to invoke that anger from them. Better keep your own side of the street clean. But the other thing, and I've been challenged with that incrementally over the last few years, to rise above the ego of defensiveness when attacked. It's going to happen. Just allow it. People are going to think what they think. And that's unfortunate. We can really get bottled down, especially people like myself that have been traumatized by isolation. We want people to like us. We want to have friends. We want to know what it's like to have our first deep relationship with the opposite sex. Now, I don't mean to have sex. I'm talking about like a deep friendship with the person that we're fornicating with. That leads to something other than that person feeling threatened by the love. Write that down. Let's make a love song. I'd be great to meet a musician, a woman that's a musician, an artist, also into alternative media, but not fake news. She exists. She's just not aware of my radar. And I just attribute that to the universe. The universe could do something really weird. Like if the universe has sent me vampires in the past, which it did, people that almost seem to be under mind control, literally, a woman sought me out that literally had a vision, according to her, of Alex Ansary coming to her in her head. And then she said she typed it into the computer. Then we hung out, had sex a number of times. At one point, she said she had a baby and it was an alien, but the aliens came in the mothership and took it. You got to understand that the type of some of the people that have sought me out have been freaks, and the emotional maturity from some of the people be like, let me figure this Alex guy out. A lot of them can't handle hearing the truth about someone's personal experiences, and some of them that stuff applies to them. Voices in the head, other things that are red flags. Because anyone that's having that type of interference, and if those voices are not their own, they can easily be turned on that person. Do you know the danger of being a public person and being out in the public eye? Do you know the danger of having an RV and going somewhere like Taos, New Mexico to a food not bombed? Oh, I'm actually going to be taking care of something later on in the year that will hopefully free myself up a little bit. And I've experienced, I can think back to 2016, that archonic interference, false allegations, New Mexico, and then talking to the wrong people on the internet that then decided to play into the slander and, ooh, Alex, bad man with an RV, bad man. And then I thought about my luck. Like that was a straight up attack that when I pulled into that parking lot, the transmission just died. There's a longer story to something that I'm alluding to, but I was stuck in Taos, New Mexico a couple of years ago. My transmission just died like that. I had to have it towed back. Thank God I had AAA to a place I was only meant to stay or trying to stay at for a few days just to park my RV. And then some really weird stuff started to take place. And right before that situation, I'm doing videos about potential government activity in Taos. And since then, there was a major thing that happened, by the way, with a compound in Taos, and then some really weird behavior from the judge. Just really, and there's just so much news that I don't look super deep at every single story. A guy can easily go insane. But there is something very evil about parts of New Mexico, and there may be something very beautiful as well. But what does it deal with? And what is the true origin of that type of interference that was thrown my way? I think it has to do with who I am and what I was doing in New Mexico. And the idea of a soul, I'm not trying to convince you of anything spiritually, but some of us may have past life histories, is what I'm saying here on the earth. Like, just try to suspend disbelief. Because I don't think that's an accident that I don't have a strong interest in getting involved in politics. I'm just really talking to you about how I see this playing out. Sure, I may seem anti-Obama, but I didn't hate him because he was black. I may seem super anti-Trump, but I don't hate him because he's white. It's because they're part of the system, and people are duped thinking that change we can believe in to make America great again. It's bullshit. It's an alien agenda. I remember hearing Leon say that in one of his meditation classes. I kind of picked that up and shared that with you. It is like an alien programming for an energy when people are channeling political energy. I don't have permission to re-air some of his tapes. Maybe like a few quotes here and there might be okay. I think that there's a parallel in our thinking, but one of the, so like someone could be in a guided meditation online, for example, recounting some of the MP3s that I have, and a guided meditation regarding grounding, and then just hearing that dialogue about the foreign energy and what we're trying to release out of our mind, out of our body, out of our aura. How about bringing our aura in? What type of activities? Oh, now we're going deep down the rabbit hole. I got like this book open to a page. What type of activities can strengthen our aura? What type of activities can weaken our aura? Now, is that our opinion or because we came to that awareness? See, some of us didn't wake up yesterday to aura. What's that? And some people are still, magnetic fields don't exist around the, I'm not even trying to rationalize with people that are denying science and spirit mixing and becoming one. There are energy fields, right? Magnetics, and that influence is basically and I'm not even able to articulate this into something that makes sense, but the magnetics and the energetics are calibrated as such that life can be like this. Gravity, if you will. Whereas if certain things start changing, and what are the deeper, keep going, Alex, the deeper implications, not so much of the grand solar minimum, but magnetic north moving. And then when it starts increasing, I'm not saying we're not affected, but man, it is cold. So in the solar minimum, yeah, cold weather. And me being an off-gridder, oh yeah, I'm right in the, it's not as bad as the San Luis Valley, okay, which is nearby. San Luis Valley, which is less of an elevation, I'm more in the mountain range area. San Luis Valley. So valley floor, oh my God, you're dealing with temperatures that could kill some people. What happened to me in my first experience, you gotta understand, people thought I was nuts for being ballsy. People also think you're nuts for telling the truth. But anyways, instead of getting a medal for that level of courage, I survived the winter of 2012, 2013. And even though the world didn't end or become a golden new age, the level of mind control upon our population is showing itself. It's zombie apocalypse now, baby. And there is a 3-hour discussion between a psychologist and somebody else. I am considering just playing it out for you in 3 hours and commenting over it, because I don't even want to butcher any bit of it, trying to just show you an excerpt. And I think it'll be okay to probably show the whole thing, fair use. But I think it's really important that you hear my commentary over his, or a combination, for me to pop in appropriately here and there, because he is hitting the nail on the head. He's not even getting into paranormal. He's not even getting into the alt-right or extreme alt-left. He is just simply getting into how social media has altered our psychology. It's not just about ourself. You can leave Facebook and all that crap and go back supposedly in the so-called real world, and what do you see? You see some girl looking down at her phone, the same girl all the time when she's on break at that little wherever it is where you go get your food. Some of you recognize patterns and faces, whether you're a big town or a small town. You might see the same people more than once. And what are they doing when they're on break? And what are they looking at? It seems so important, and I can feel like it's like, oh, there's something really deep going on. But when you're of the targeted population, fuck this targeted individual shit. How about the targeted collective? That's where the men stand up and start talking about the targeted collective, not the TI, the TC, not the TC 2000 that Bolo Young was in back in the day with Billy Blanks. We're talking about the TC. That's where the compassion is seen. People like myself and others that talk about the targeted populations, targeted minorities, targeted countries, not just the narcissistic TI. No, that's what they're programming us. They're already programming people with hypocritical thoughts, with victim consciousness. And we have all of this obsession with some people with Israel without an acknowledgement of what's also being done to other countries. It's almost seen as some sort of threat to remind them that other countries are being demolished as a result of the policies from the United States and the country of Israel. And I've always avoided the Israel topic, but it's being reintroduced into our world. It's becoming more of a force as we head closer to some sort of event. And there are people making predictions about the New Jerusalem, Israel, Donald Trump in Israel. And so there's something about certain sigils that politicians will, oh, we're here to defend these people. And so there will be people out there that won't even criticize our current president because of that Israeli connection. Now, how is that truth? How is that in line with what the Creator would want? When we are stuck in fear of the archonic systems, we're really not free, and that includes myself. I know if I'm free and if I'm not free of certain things. So someone could come up and compliment me and say I did a good job of that. That's great. Thank you for complimenting my performance in that video in that time-space reality continuum. But in this time-space continuum, be in the now, baby. Be in the now. Don't compare me to me 10 years ago. Me right now, I'm at that level of years and years of that content creating more of an energetic blowback than the love that a human needs. People don't want to hear that. It's like you think I'm some sort of robot that you pull a string, and I don't mean all of you, just those of you that are part of the dislike mob. And it's like people literally are addicted to content that they hate. Why? And so it becomes a big issue. So the supernatural impact over our lives can be seen in comment sections specifically, because that's the main form in which people are communicating. Whether they're coming after someone or they're going, hey, I like you. Maybe you're kind of cute. Ooh. It's like, when was the last time I heard that in the real world? And so, you need a guy like me. Not to point your freaking finger, to quote Scarface, and go, there goes the bad guy. There goes the bad. No, you need actually some good people. Things are getting dark. People are changing. The things that I've learned about like the truth movement being co-opted is more about demonic possession. You look at the Chris Greens of the world and the Alex Joneses of the world, they're just getting worse. They're not able to see how sick they are. Where's Chad? Chad has probably been let go. It's a good question to ask. Chad has been erased from AMTV, apparently. So it's like, you notice how I'll like talk about things in brief and say, I'm just going to like talk about this in chunks. And some people will be like, well, why are you bringing them up? I don't understand the context. Well, do you now? If you're following the fake news that they're putting out, how distorted it is and how backwards it is, if Donald Trump goes down, it's an inside job. Oop, I just flagged the system. Here come the AI sentinels coming to shoot me with their energetic EMP weapons. So much mental illness on the platform. It's like, don't talk about this. Don't say this word. Don't say that word. And then you go in the mainstream news and it's that word, and it's this word, and it's that word, and it's this word. And it's like, oh, they can say something, but you can't. It's almost as if, though, there's something built in within our system that wants to prevent progress from, again, where have the people coming together to create their own platforms and to not backstab each other, not delete each other's content, not troll each other, not create like obscene conspiracy. Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Christopher Green is Brandon Lee. You know, and the more I think about all of those videos that were put out about Chris Green early on, who's to say that those weren't put out by them early on to create kind of like the fake conspiracy to like lead people off of the trail that they should have been on the whole time? So again, there's something that feels powerful within me. And I'm speaking about things that apply to hundreds of people, and you're not going to like what you're hearing for the most part. This is the least engagement that I've ever seen from my audience. And well, I started out in 2004. So here we are. I'm in my 15th year, basically. And so even Patreon is totally silent. And so some people may not be getting updates on my videos. And then there's going to be the part of the AI, which is in the organic human, where the organic human sees my content and is going, not relevant, because they've been hypnotized and programmed. I'm not even interested in getting in the way of that. I don't think I should care. I think that if I care, that's wrong at this point. And I think that I've cared too much. Now, I'm opening up to a random page, and I'm putting my, upside down. I'm pulling a bush. We'll go over here. Symbols of the gods. Maybe something a little bit more palatable than the monkey god. The three most important religious symbols associated with the Japanese gods are still enshrined in Shinto shrines. They are a necklace of magatama, curious kama-shaped stones like those given to Amaterasu, which is a solar deity. Holla for the sun. There's so many references to the sun. I want this book. I do not want to. Is this book available for $5 on the internet? I'm sure somebody will tell me. But Shinto shrines are usually marked with avenues of trees and rocks with a sacred gateway through which the gods enter into the shrine itself. Now think about that. And think about people laughing at me by just simply looking at the rocks that have unique shapes and being open to how those rocks may have developed those shapes. Not saying that it was necessarily this or petrified giants, but that there seems to be a very strong pattern of things that look a particular way in, I don't know, this land of the ancients, near the Four Corners, near the San Luis Valley, things in and around Denver. It's like people have more of an interest in the flaming nostrils of the horse, the white horse. Wanna ride the white horse outside the Denver International Airport. You don't see people talking about the brown children that were genocided in the murals anymore in recent years. You heard more about that under Obama. See, there's a reason why certain conspiracy memes are trending during certain times. And then there's other times where they're like, you know what? We probably don't want to have that on the Facebook meme feed that we're manipulating, because they might actually make yeah, we don't want that. We don't want them actually looking at Yemen and what they're doing over there. We don't want them looking at the resistance fighters in Yemen and what's going on there. We don't want them looking at these things in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria. We don't want them looking in those directions. We want them more feeling like they're being invaded all the time, and want to create new ways of them constantly being invaded by different groups. It can come from the south of a caravan. It can come from an airplane. It can come from an immigration thing. It can come from them putting the minorities in control of YouTube, making you a victim. And it's like all of this like artificial, like, look over here. You're getting sleepier. You're getting sleepier. So, and I can't show you pictures of this, but it's showing me a picture of a shrine. And the shrine is depicting like going deeper into nature. And so when Bill Gorman, and we have different politics entirely, but I wouldn't mind being his friend over time, but I'm not going to be someone that changes who I am. And I want to be respected for the beliefs that I have. And in this day and age, when I meet new people, it's difficult to know if they respect my geopolitical analysis, which really, really, it is critical for the people that I meet in Colorado to respect my geopolitical analysis. Because before they even got involved with doing stuff on the internet, back in 2007, a young Alex Ansari delivered the message of warning. Okay, I wasn't coming from the left. Okay, there weren't even people calling it the deep state then. Somehow the universe connected me and Leon, and we used the technology available to us to deliver the warning to you. And through additional information that I came across through my own studies, the focus date of 2025 came into view. in a more direct way. Going back to that Taos, New Mexico, that was obviously interference coming at me at a time in which I was aiming to go off grid and establish myself. And there was attempt made to cause a lot of sabotage, which didn't happen because I did not continue traveling through New Mexico. I'm in Colorado. But one of the reasons I need to free some things up is so that I can travel to other places if need be. When we look at situations to where we have archonic interference that infects our travel or affects our travel through some sort of bill, through some sort of garnishment, through some sort of like legal circus, like there's a reason some of those things happen. And some of those reasons could also happen to keep us safe. Maybe we're meant to stay in a particular geographic area for a period of time. I've literally like overthought, double thought, triple thought, quad thought the real reason why things happen to us without us necessarily being victims. Because even if you start at one level of victim, like this happened because they were trying da da da, but why? Wasn't it another simulation to make us stronger? What if there's a situation where someone has to spend time in a jail cell for multiple days or weeks for something that they didn't do? I'll tell you what, I've already spent time in a cell, but it was very long ago, and it was something that I did do, putting in something that was toxic that's considered illegal. And through that experience of being subjected, having to strip my clothes off my body, I understood what it was like to be in those dark places and to read spiritual books to keep myself going. And I noticed how men and others reacted around me, and how some of the more dangerous hoodlums that were in the jail cell would stay away from me. No, I don't think that I'd be safe necessarily in prison, but I think that I might actually be able to manifest certain things by being super different if I was ever in a situation like that. What really, really scares me about things like concentration camps and things like that is the idea of forced shots and to be forced to take something that ultimately is designed to kill you. No, not just, they talk about, well, it could be like a country club. Everything will be fine. Maybe one day there'll be propaganda to put some of us in camps and they'll say it's like a Gitmo camp. But what if they're saying, but you have to allow this to go in your body? Or, you're put in situations to where you're getting jumped and beat up. I understand Chris Bonte made some statements about being put in the hole. His channel is Oregon Cop Watcher. And he talked about having to hang with the whites because people were, making threats against him, saying he was such and such gang. And it's like, there are some of us that live in real world prison type environments to where it's not prison, but it feels like prison. And it feels like the world's possessed by archons when they divide by race and they get super tribal. And you know that something's up when people change on someone who hasn't changed their independent political stance. I haven't changed my independent political stance. And the main thing that I try to get through to people, especially people that are new to me and my work, and I'm trying to explain my last 15 years of life, not my last 39 years, but specifically the last 15 years, which marks the beginning of OTBTV hashtag to where I am now. And if we look at the whole path, there was a hot, cold period in which elements of my audience were friends, even lovers, other things to where it felt more like a family thing. Like we were in this. Now it's like everything is just so chaotic. We're just so divided. This is entertainment for maybe 100 of you. And that's pretty fucking pathetic when you look at the larger scheme and potential that I have to help people wake up. This is why when you share with your family, which I don't know that anyone does that. Years ago, like 10 years ago, they would watch elements of my show at some bars in Portland, Oregon. So it does seem that, yes, because I get into the supernatural and I place way more emphasis on this, the Hermetic teachings and other things, it's true that I'm considered batshit insane and crazy and probably worth institutionalizing. But the greater reality is I'm moving beyond, to the best of my ability, certain levels of fear of those things and ego damage and trying to have my own ego death because I will be 40 in about 1 year. I almost said 2 years the other day. No, 1 year. I'm almost 39. I'm almost 39. We also have to separate our karma from other people's karma and people of the same age group. Some people want to overlap and overshadow, right? No bueno. We have different karma, we have different biologies, we have different spirit guides, and different poltergeist like entities that attack us, and for different reasons. We're not all going through the same thing. Unless we're all speaking the same truth, trying to raise awareness about the same things, but we can go through a similar level of targeting through the TC, the targeted collective, not the targeted individual. So there's ways in which they target the collective towards certain things. And not everybody knows that they're targeted. Most of the population is targeted for their empathy to be eradicated. I have never seen a greater decline in affectionate female encounters like I've seen the last 2 or 3 years. The greatest decline is right now. I think there's 23% female audience members, nearly all silent, and then a sausage fest. No disrespect to the predominantly male audience, but yet there's so much of what I talk about that relates to women and respecting women and the future of women and talking about some of the ways in which they're attacked and being set up for a fall. And so, without a doubt, future generations of female Homo sapiens will have far more respect for Alex Ansary and the work that he did to shine the light on their enslavement. Right now, it's like there's a mind control operation taking place to where, in actuality, the golden years are behind me with the audience. And people are really appreciating what it is that I did. They thought that was great. George Bush is the president. You're still learning how to talk, but you look good in the suit and the lighting's really good. Go, Alex Ansary, at 25 years old. Here I am with way more knowledge at the age of 39. But most of the people just think it's insane. People don't suggest the content. People don't do shout outs on YouTube. Barely, right? When they do, it's just weird or slander or weird. It's like, where are my brothers and sisters that I'm waiting for? And then, I've said in the past, who are my brothers and sisters to talk about similar content down below in the comment section? Nothing comes up. You could say, oh, but this sounds like this. And this sounds like that. A lot of people just like to talk in generalities about the truth, the system, but no, they're just talking in generalities using buzzwords. No, actually give it definition. Be willing to put your birth name on it. Don't wear a mask. Take off your mask. No anonymous. No anonymous. No, this is your job. What other job? But when you walk that path, then it's you all the way. There isn't like a little of this and a little, because that's where the problem is, where it's like halfway in the truth, but you're still trying to manage a marriage. You're still trying to please your wife, still trying to please your kids. So a lot of people aren't in the truth business or the truth world. I'm using that word loosely because they have these all the other ties. I can't advise you on maintaining your ties to these jobs and people and spouses and kids. I more or less am just simply bearing witness to this world. And as I bear witness to this world attacks me, but I keep going. So I've sacrificed this. Oh, I need to have this in this home in Portland. It's my, fuck it. Take it. Take it, California. Take it, take it, take it. I'll go somewhere else. Maybe God or the universe wants me somewhere. Maybe you're about to fall into the sea and all your sinkholes and shit, human traffic. Maybe I'm supposed to get out of Dodge before the Joey Gibsons of this world take over your Rose City. Here we are in 2019. 10 years, 12 years, and more after my warnings, the Pacific Northwest. I'm sorry, what? Everything's fine in Portland? Are you having a pinch yourself moment for long-term audience members? I'm not hearing it. Then again, I'm not looking at the comment section. Because the thing is, when you're tapped in and you're putting that USB, like, yeah, now we're going to connect with the grid like this. Just by simply being on the internet and reading emails, and if you're a YouTube content creator, even being on the video manager tab, looking at your likes, dislikes, that bipolarness. I like it today. I don't like it tomorrow. I don't like it tomorrow, but I like it today. Bipolar, right? We need to work to rise above the mental illness crisis when people are faced with the truth. Now, this came back because I started talking about Vishnu, but I didn't fully finish, the full explanation that Vishnu, which is recognized as the supreme deity, along with Shiva in the pantheon of Indian deities, and is often depicted under a flying animal, kind of like a dragon. Vishnu is the background to existence, who enters the universe as Narayana, the one who lies on the waters of life. He sleeps at the base of the universe, attended by the goddess Lakshmi. That's what I'm waiting for. Whenever there is disturbance in the balance of the universe, he enters the human world to restore the true religious teachings and protect righteousness. His role as keeper of the balance is well illustrated in the story of Kurma, the tortoise incarnation, where he sets out to help both the demons and the gods, but finally takes the side of the gods. And one can interpret that of allowing the archons or the demons, also known as the jinn in Islam, to do what they do to help humans evolve. So going back to the interference that I just described to you and the traumatic experience that I'm probably going to be going through in May of this year as I go to Taos, New Mexico to begin a process of resolving so I can free up travel. I'm going to have to go through certain levels of traumatizing events for a false allegation. And then afterwards coming through, doing a whole YouTube series about it because I'm waiting till it's all done because I've been advised that that's the way to do things when you have a legal matter is to wait till it's done and then talk about it. Otherwise, there's issues. And by even talking about it before, we could see online slander, people attempting to make me look like a threat. And so in a year or two, and as I start talking about this more and more, a deeper focus comes in how YouTubers and specific people can be targeted through slander so people will be afraid of befriending me. And we'll have this type of assumption, wow, this guy can't control himself. He just like grabs everyone that he meets, starts smashing them into a pulp. And it's like when I see other people demonized in the same time period of post 2015, 2016, I'm seeing a pattern with this and with things that are taking place in the world. And so when you're dealing with evil coming against good, causing sabotage, it can transcend ethnicity, it can transcend class, it transcends certain things and ways that things are. And someone can encounter a number of unfortunate. Now, I'm just somewhat of an amateur with some of this strategization, but ultimately one must have more energy, right, than leakage. They need to be able to bring in energy into their bodies so they're strong. If somebody's in a situation where they're leaking energy because of people around them, a number of events can cascade, or things can be thrown at a person when they're down, i.e., being kicked when you're down. So there could be a cascade of events, like one thing that leads to another, to feeling like, and covering what happened in Costilla County and then fleeing Costilla County for Taos, New Mexico, talking to the one person I knew on Facebook, not very reflectant of Facebook connecting me with trustable real world allies, one thing leading to another, the RV breaking down at a Taos, New Mexico Ralph's, and then that being towed back, and then other unfortunate events, some time passing, false allegations, and then fast forward some more to someone else creating slander because I blocked them from spamming me on social media. How social media can create a type of "I'm gonna gotcha" in the minds of those that are cut off when they have no right to superimpose into someone else's bedroom and into someone else's mind. And so there's a multidimensional aspect to certain stories when you really get honest with the totality of targeting and what can happen. And what do some people do? They're like attempting to go under the radar. And it's like you're either willing to sacrifice all those goodies that come with being a so-called normie, but balancing both, like I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how to advise others. And I don't think that there are people I need to advise on that. I don't really, see a sea of people that are trying to balance becoming truthers, speaking the truth, talking about the millions of people that are being sacrificed on the altar of Iraq and Afghanistan. They will talk about every conspiracy and supernatural theory under the sun until they're blue in the face before they mention the name of two countries that are being back to the Stone Age, bombed back to the Stone Age. And I don't believe you can trust people that can't call out the elephant in the room. I don't. And I don't think that you can trust people either. And let's say you're that person, right, that doesn't care about, well, then you can't really trust your own decisions. You're not in a proper state of mind. You need to get well. Does it matter that you're white and you're not feeling threatened by the things that are taking place? They're actually using all this to demonize. So you want to be more than just like selfish. Oh, now this affects me because they can use this against all of us. Come on, you want to be higher than that. I shouldn't have to stoop to that level to get you to show some sort of compassion. And anyone that claims to be pro-compassion and critical of women that are into marine dudes should be then that compassionate male that will on their YouTube channel talk about those other people on the other side of the wall that are being sacrificed. I'm still waiting, and frankly, I've given up on the human species and trusting certain people to talk about the issues that matter to all of us, not just Israelis, not just U.S. citizens, right? But to actually, like, there's been like seas of people that have acted like they care about me, and it's all been a fucking lie. You got to be very careful who you talk to, who you go visit, who you park your car next to. It's like what I've seen is that the universe, in a way, intervened and showed me if we really need to send you somebody, like an angel, we'll send you somebody. We'll even send you a number of different angels. Sure, the devil will send you trolls that will stay with your YouTube channel and watch your every word for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And they won't even know that they're vampires for doing such a thing, to literally watch every video and listen to literally every single word in order to hear something that could be used against me. I mean, that is psychotic. And there has to be an adult in the room that explains, right, to the male boys in the audience that there are certain behaviors that you have seen others do that is not healthy. Ways in which people have weaponized the internet. Ways in which the internet is radicalizing the human species. It's beyond white supremacy. Pull up your pants, get real. It's other forms of racism as well. Doesn't matter what. It's other forms of classism. It's other forms of control. I have never seen a more dumbed down species in all my lifetimes. And what this means is that the types of levels that the species is going to stoop to is going to set record levels. Fuck this global warming thing. Fuck this global cooling thing. What about the cooling of the human heart? And I'll tell you what, this world is getting cold. And I'm not talking about the weather. But with that, I encourage you to step up, make a donation if you're a long-term viewer and you haven't been doing that. And I will see you in the next video.